SBC Mobile Shell is a revolutionary user interface for your Symbian device. It enriches your user experience with multiple home screens and widgets. Mobile Shell supports up to 5 home screens that can be filled up with a rich set of different widgets. We've worked hard to make editing home screen layout easy and convenient for you. SBC Mobile Shell is all about customization and personalization. The combination of various widgets, colorful backgrounds, and multiple home screens gives you a very convenient way to make your device's UI look like you want it.
Just as some smartphones are getting Android 2.1, Google has announced Android 2.2, Froyo, featuring full Adobe Flash 10.1 support, built-in laptop tethering and portable hotspot functions, a faster web browser, a new faster Java compiler for an overall performance improvement, dedicated shortcuts on the home screen for phone, applications launcher and browser. Apps can now be installed on external memory cards. Whoa! Apps can also be auto-updated from the Android market, iPhone style. The Nexus One is getting Froyo at the moment, but all other Android-powered phones are unlikely to see it for many months, so don't hold your breath. Here's the typical view of the smartphone fan. When not actually at work, he's curled up indoors browsing the phone blogs, trying out the latest software betas, writing out forum posts, generally staying away from the outside world. But the whole point of smartphones is that you should be able to go back out into the world and enjoy it, while staying connected and with a full suite of functions to aid your progress. For the purposes of provoking thought and to get some much needed exercise, I've been heading out into the green stuff myself. Of course, being outside in the fresh air and sun brings its own challenges. Portability, robustness, visibility, to name but 3. And with these in mind, I've chosen the black Nokia N82. I usually wave this device about, ranting about its xenon flash, but it has other major attributes. It's a one-piece candy bar design that's really tough and robust, and its transflected screen means great visibility out here in the full summer sun. My OLED and TFT equipped phones all rather gave up the ghost at the thought. As an aside, the white on black keypad is very readable in the sun, unlike the silver N82, which basically turns into a chrome mirror. Because I'm off-road, of course, Google Maps and Obby Maps are rather useless. Even in satellite mode, the former just tends to show lots of green blobs. So I'm using here View Ranger, which plots my position on bitmapped official Ordnance Survey maps, complete with footpaths, streams and contours. My position on the screen stays centred at all times, and the map scrolls around. View Ranger also offers guided walks uploaded by others, complete with photos, so it's essentially a one-stop in-phone walker's guide. And no, they're not paying me to say all this, by the way, I'm just a fan. If you're somewhere high up or low down, there's an innovative panorama mode too, where you can get a feel for the contours around you and identify each. And there's no digital compass in the N82 to aid me as I move around, sadly, otherwise this could be a very virtual reality. View Ranger, as you can imagine, is very RAM hungry with all these bitmap maps, but the N82 has about 90 megabytes free after booting, so that's plenty. Oh yes, and when I get to something spectacular, the N82 helps by virtue of being one of the best camera phones of recent years, so I'll get some good memories while I'm at it. Apologies if this has sounded a bit like an N82 and View Ranger advert. I just wanted to make the point that the world of large OLED screen and somewhat precious touchscreen phones is not the be-all and end-all. Away from offices and trains, you need something one-handed with transflected screen that's both durable and powerful. And I can't resist one last plug. This segment is being filmed on, guess what? Another Nokia N82.
Hi Steve, this is Chris in Kettering. My main phone I use every day is the iPhone 3G, and I fancied a go on the Android operating system, so I bought a T-Mobile Pulse Mini, which was £99 on pay-as-you-go, and that's got 6 months of free internet included, so it was quite a good price, and there it is. The main disadvantages with the Pulse Mini are the screen, which is very hard to see in sunlight, and the keyboard, which is very hard to hit the right character. The phone is quite feature packed for a pay-as-you-go phone. For £99 it's got a lot of good features. The Wi-Fi is very good, the GPS is one of the best I've seen, and it's got a digital compass on it, so the direction you're facing is shown as an arrow, so if you spin it round it moves, and it seems to be quite accurate. It's got a 3.2 camera on it, which is reasonable, and it's got a reasonable camcorder on it as well, both good enough for a second phone. Overall, the phone is very good for, you know, the £99 price on it, with some very good features. I wouldn't recommend it as a first phone, but for a second phone, an introduction to the Android operating system, you're going to have a lot of fun with it.
In the previous phone show I went into detail in terms of getting better still photos from your camera-toting smartphone. The feature went down so well I'm going to match it now with similar observations and tips for shooting video with your smartphone. Mind you, one overriding factor plays just as big a part in shooting video as it does when shooting stills: light. In fact, it's even more important. Consider that at 30 frames a second the camera unit has only got 1/30th of a second to gather light for each frame. This is ample when the sun's shining, but 1/30th of a second to gather evening or indoor light through the tiny lens in your smartphone is always going to be a struggle. Which is why, again, some smartphones are better at shooting low light video than others. They're the ones with the glass optics, larger lenses and larger sensors. Think Nokia N86 at the moment as maybe the video king. In general though, try to shoot in as good a light as possible, as here. It may be as simple as asking your subject to stand closer to a window or bright artificial light source, or maybe you can wait till that cloud blows over. You won't usually have the luxury of choice, of course. The smartphone video camera is the ultimate spur-of-the-moment capture device, but at least you'll now be able to forewarn yourself as to which situations are likely to turn out well and which will turn out to be nasty, noisy, grainy, streaky video. You should also be aware of where the light is, over there in this case. So many amateur videos get ruined by having the light behind the subject, in which case they turn into talking silhouettes, like one of those spy interviews. Keep the light roughly behind you and in front of your subject, if at all possible. There's also the matter of focus. Every model is different here. Many cheaper designs just focus on the horizon when shooting video. Even the fabled Nokia N97 falls down here, meaning that all close-up subjects are a bit blurry. In this case, try to stay at least a couple of meters away from those you're shooting so that the so-called depth of field is at least within striking distance. Again, better light gives you better depth of focus. Depth of field, by the way. Better designs either have a preset focus of a couple of meters, as on the Nokia N95, N86, N96 and N82, with a depth of field from about a metre away right to the horizon. With these you can shoot just about anything and, quote, get away with it. Hey, I do in filming this show. Or else there's a focusing system, either manual at the start of capture, as on the iPhone 3GS and a number of Android devices, or continuous, in the case of the new Sony Ericsson Vivas. In either case you'll have no focus problems, provided you can keep your subject nice and stable. Pretty impressive.
Not sure which focusing system your phone uses? Try a few tests of a human face from a few feet away and then back to 10 meters or so, and then look at the captured video on a decent monitor. You'll be able to spot which sections are, quote, in focus or not. I should mention that in all this I'm assuming a resolution of VGA, that's 640 by 480 pixels. This show is being shot in VGA, at least the high resolution version is. Quarter VGA video capture is fit only for viewing on a phone, and for quarter VGA video most of these tips are rendered somewhat over the top. Keep your shot as still and as steady as possible. Nothing says rubbish more than jerky video. You don't have to use a Steadicam, just hold your smartphone in both hands and try to keep things as smooth as possible. Even when panning around, go much slower than you think you should. Every movement gets magnified in the shooting process. Sound quality is vital too. A blurred video image and great soundtrack is at least watchable. A crystal clear image and a muffled soundtrack is a waste of time. So the quality of the microphone in your smartphone will play a huge part here. Most Nokias and the iPhone have great microphones that won't disappoint, while many HTC made phones have cheaper mics that will. Other smartphones fall in between, often as in the Sony Ericsson Vivas, with good sound but way too quiet. You can help the sound side of things by choosing your location wisely. At an outdoor event, find a spot away from swirling winds or crowd noise. Indoors, stay away from air conditioning units and other noisy machinery.
cup your hand like this to channel noise from your subject into the tiny microphone hole in the phone's bottom. On some of the Nokia dual sliders, you can even open the multimedia slide to bounce sound again into the microphone hole. In a really noisy situation, as a last resort, you can get very close to your subject. Yes, the image might be blurry depending on your device, but hey, you can always superimpose some photos to break things up, like I do. If you have a headset that has a mic built in, try using this as a makeshift wired microphone. It can work surprisingly well in very noisy environments, though do note that the mic and these accessories is usually of lower quality, so it's a compromise. Finally, before shooting video, check. Number 1, you've set to save to the right memory disk. Number 2, that your resolution setting is right, usually at maximum. Number 3, that you have enough disk space free. As a guide, VGA video at 30 frames a second usually needs up to about 20 megabytes per minute of footage.